first of all, thank you very much for this opportunity. It's a great pleasure to conduct the interview together with you and the wrestling fans in Germany. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And right to some questions, so I'll just start away. You were part of TNA from 2003 to 2010, so from the early beginnings of TNA, so to say, and you witnessed and influenced the rise of the company, and in 2017 you returned to Impact Wrestling. What was the most fundamental change after you left the promotion, and with the exception of the name, of course?
Coming back, I think the wrestling industry has changed so much in the years that I was in essence away from it in any major way. When in 2010, the digital side of things and websites, social media, and such, like we had a .com, and have the social media explosion that there is today, and we didn't have a world where so many fans and viewers consume and watch their content on non-traditional means, like not on a television set, but through a tablet, through a smartphone, and such. They, having to...
Okay.
Sorry, I have another issue here. Having to adjust, and producing, content for all types of consumption, both digital and broadcast, has been a major change. And then on the wrestling side of things, I think that the industry as a whole, on the grassroots and independent level, is so much stronger than it's ever been. And I think there's so many more wrestlers than at any point in history that are making a good living without working for, WWE, that I just think it's an amazing time to be in the wrestling business, either as a talent or somebody working in it, or even as a fan, because there's just so many great products out there that are so different and unique.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds good. Staying with Impact Wrestling, what was your main reason to come back to Impact Wrestling, especially in this time right now?
I came back in early of 17 here because I was asked to come in, as the company was going through some changes and trying to find its new course. I came in and asked to just, sit in, listen, consult, give your opinion on things, and just kind of, as Anthem Sports and Entertainment was trying to wrap their heads around not just Impact Wrestling, but the wrestling business in general. Mm-hmm. They just wanted to have people with different opinions and mindsets to offer alternatives to them. So as we went through this year, I think Anthem's done a great job of assessing what's worked and what hasn't worked, and made good decisions. I think now, less than a year after taking control of the company, to say, okay, now we think we need where we need to go as a company, and we're starting to put together a really great team that I think can really make Impact Wrestling a real player in 2018 and beyond. If you ever would have told me that I would be sitting in a position like this with a major wrestling company as we approach the start of 2018, I would have just laughed, because when I left in 2010, it was with lots of great memories, but no intention of ever really returning to the industry full time. But I just think the atmosphere and the excitement that I'm starting to see build with Impact Wrestling made me say, hell yeah! I want to be part of the growth and success of this company.
Oh, so it sounds really promising. And after your long absence, how did you feel to come back? And was there anybody particular who looked most to seeing again, or working together with somebody again?
For me, there was it was coming back to Impact Wrestling. It was great to be able to work with a super talented guy like Jeremy Borash, who was one of the first people that I knew when I first started with Impact Wrestling. I actually knew TNA at the time. I actually knew Jeremy because Jeremy had given me my first opportunity to work in a a front office capacity for a wrestling company when he hired me for the World Wrestling All-Stars. Mm-hmm. And to work with him through all my time here, coming back and getting to collaborate with him on things here with Impact, getting to work hand to hand and so closely with Sanjay Dutt, who is a guy who was just a teenager when I first met him and was part of bringing him to TNA. Getting to work side by side with him and seeing the growth. He's grown up. I mean, not just into a talented wrestling mind, but I mean just a true gentleman. And he's so passionate about what we do, and getting to work with him so closely on things has been fantastic. And then, of course, getting to get to know and work with Len Asper and Ed Nordum and the people at Anthem Sports and Entertainment, has been a great experience for me. So I think, like I said, we're totally putting together a fantastic team that I think is gonna help drive business in 2018 and beyond. And certainly I'd be remiss if I didn't say that I'm excited to work side by side with Don Callis, who's been somebody that's been a business associate and friend for over 20 years. Mm. So we've always, we've worked on different levels together on creative projects and always enjoyed it and always found success. And we're just super pumped and excited to be able to come in here and have an opportunity to be part of really kicking things off in 2018 to set a course for a really exciting future for Impact Wrestling.
Okay, cool. And looking at your first time in Impact Wrestling, or back then in TNA, what would you say, which person has developed the most, or did you think that he or she was capable of this rise and increase or development?
There's obviously guys that are close to my heart are the Team Canada guys, and to see what Bobby Roode and Eric Young have gone on and done in their TNA Impact careers, and what they continue to do now with WWE brings great pride to me. To see a guy like Petey Williams, who was like a son to me, to see him have the success he's had in wrestling, and then to go on and start a family and be such a great husband and father, and then to make his return. It's kind of a cool experience now to work with Pete on a different level, where it's no longer teacher student. It's now co-workers that are working creatively together on something, and that's a cool experience for me. I'd never had an opportunity to really work with Eddie Edwards or Bobby Lashley or Alberto El Patron. So many of these guys that are just such talented individuals that, I mean, they came in after I had left. So getting an opportunity to work with guys like that, obviously having a guy like Conan, who's as big a star as you've ever had in the Lucha Libre world. Yeah. It's a huge part of our TNA history, and getting him back and having him involved. He's just such a wealth of knowledge and such a positive force when he's motivated, and he's been motivated with us. And there's so many talents in our locker room that I look over and I see that Conan's got them aside, and he's like passing on some words of wisdom. And it's just so great to see an environment where people that are legends are sitting there and working with some of the amazing young talent we have that's up and coming, and giving them input, advice, pointers, whatever you want to call it, to help them be part of the next generation.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, I had the honor of having an interview with Conan together also some weeks ago, and it was a blast. And I may say he also mentioned you especially as being very happy to work with you together. So you mentioned
he's a great guy, and he's such a wealth of knowledge. We're excited to have him on board.
Absolutely, yeah, sounds good. Next question would be, which independent star would you like to see compete at Impact Wrestling? I mean, there's a lot of independent stars rising up now with promotions like Lucha Underground and New Japan and other organizations, but which one would you like to see at Impact Wrestling?
Boy, I mean, there's so many fantastic talents out there. I think you look at a guy like Keith Lee or Matt Riddle. It'd be great to see them compete in an Impact ring. You look over in Ring of Honor, and you see so many great talents there. Obviously, the Young Bucks and Jay Lethal. I mean, Jay Lethal's a guy that we hired here when he was still a teenager, and to see the talent that he's grown into. I mean, he's a guy who, the entire time that he carried that world title, I mean, he carried it like a true world champion carries a title. So, a guy like that would be great to ever have him return here. Obviously, one of my students who's had a wonderful career in New Japan, Kushida. It would be amazing to one day have him compete in an Impact ring and see him. To me, he's one of the most talented wrestlers, junior heavyweight or otherwise, and he's an even better human being. So, I mean, it really would be a dream to have him come and compete with us at some point. And, a guy who's overcame so much adversity, Joe Doring, who's another student of mine who's overcame brain cancer and surgery to come back and do so well with All Japan Pro Wrestling. I'd love to see a guy like that. I think he's flown under the radar so much because his career has been with All Japan almost exclusively. But you're talking about a guy who's been a 10-year main eventer in Japan and headlined in front of thousands of people.
Yeah, that's an accomplishment.
A big throwback athlete,
Yeah. So that sounds really cool. And speaking about talent in ring, another interesting question. If you would ever to return to in-ring competition, which actual talent at Impact Wrestling would you like to face?
Oh, boy. Boy, that'd be tough. I mean, there's so many guys on that roster that I'd love to wrestle. I'd have to say it would be Alberto El Patron. I mean, he's such a he's really the total package for what you're looking for in a wrestler and in an athlete. I mean, he's big, he's strong, he's quick, he's athletic. He has a tremendous mind for the wrestling business. His passion is second to none, and when he's focused and dedicated, there's very few that are as good as him. I'd love to be able to have had a match with him, and then God, there's so many. But another guy like to me, Desmond Xavier is a guy that I think has such a bright future, and I might actually die in the ring if I ever tried to go in there and hang with Desmond. But I enjoyed working with junior heavyweights in my career a lot, and had a lot of success putting out entertaining matches with him. And I really would like to have, had a match with a guy like Desmond, because he reminds me so much of a young AJ Styles.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good pick. Okay. Similar to that, if you could pick any singles wrestler from Impact Wrestling, who would you like to act as his or her manager?
I spent a couple years managing Congo Kong. Obviously, he's a guy that I genuinely like and think has a lot of talent that people haven't seen yet. But I think he's paired properly with Jimmy Jacobs. I think they're going to be awesome. A guy that I really think that we could have a great dynamic is Bobby Lashley. Bobby is such a big, powerful guy, and he's very eloquent. But there's times he's almost so eloquent as a speaker, and it takes away sometimes from his aura of a tough guy.
Yeah,
I think that Bobby at times, and you've seen it with Dan Lambert. Having somebody to brag about Bobby so he doesn't have to do it himself is, something that might be beneficial to him and has been beneficial to him. And he's just such an amazing athlete. I mean, I'd love to be right there ringside with the best seat, watching him perform and compete, because the way he moves and the things he does, for a guy that's so big and powerful is truly awe-inspiring.
That's cool. All right. Also, you work as a creative and a booker for Border City Wrestling in Canada. With your experience in the wrestling business, you know a lot of facets. In which direction do you want to go with Border City Wrestling?
You know, Border City Wrestling is a company that's obviously near and dear to me. We started in 1993, and we've been part of launching so many successful careers with, you know, Bobby Roode, Eric Young, Petey Williams, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, you know, D'Lo Brown. So many people spent considerable time in Border City Wrestling coming up the ranks. You know, that's kind of the role that I see for Border City Wrestling in the wrestling industry. As we go out there and we provide good local entertainment. We always bring in you know, a handful of established stars to both, of course, entertain the fans, but also important to me is having guys that have been there and done that is a real influence on the young wrestlers that are just starting out, and that's why over the years we've had everybody from the Rock to Kurt Angle to Christian to Edge, all of these guys come through, and you know, we're basically, you know, although we're unaffiliated with anybody, the way I've seen our role for the last many years has been that of a developmental company. We shoot television in Border City the same way or a similar fashion to how most companies in the, you know, the higher end of the wrestling industry shoot television. And, you know, we take talent and not just nurture them as wrestlers, but try to help them with their character, try to help them with their promo and interview skills, and try to put them on a stage, you know, where they get to come out with lights and pyro and video walls and go out there in front of a packed house and ply their trade and learn. So, and I think that's been a big reason why a lot of the guys that I previously mentioned were able to move on to you know, Impact Wrestling, TNA Wrestling, or you know, WWE and other places, and succeed because they'd already kind of been in an environment like that, albeit on a smaller scale, and we'd help provide the tool set required to perform in that kind of environment. And I see us just continuing to train you know, talent fresh off the street, and also pluck talent that's out there on the independents and bring them in to work with them to develop them into true stars.
All right. On October the 10th this year, the Global Wrestling Network went live. Besides the huge archive, the GWN has video material of some independent promotions like Border City Wrestling, Smash Wrestling, Defy Wrestling as the newest, and many more. You want to be... is this sort of planned as an alternative to the WWE network, or which promotions can be accepted to be available in the near future?
Well, I mean, with the WGN, I mean, in the world we live in with people, like I've said, getting their content from so many different sources, these types of services are really a great way for wrestling fans or fans of any type of entertainment content to consume, you know, larger and more specific content that appeals directly to them. So, you know, we see, you know, the WWE network is a fantastic service. It's been a huge success, but it focuses on WWE and very successful with it. We see WGN as not Impact Wrestling's platform, but as a platform for all wrestling, not WWE.
Okay.
So we would love to see you know, some of the great Japanese content out there with New Japan and Pro Wrestling Noah and All Japan and Dragon Gate. We would love to see some of the Lucha Libre content promotions that are out there providing content, and so many of these great promotions out there. You know, and you mentioned Defy, which is a fantastic organization out of Seattle. You know, we just made a deal with WrestleCade to show WrestleCade on our service. You know, the guys out on the East Coast with WrestlePro have such an amazing company, and what we want to do is provide a platform where independent promotions from all over can come in and can showcase their product and monetize their product on their end so that they can continue to run great events, and that we can provide the content to wrestling fans and consumers so that they can see as many different products from all over the world.
All right, sounds really promising. And as you mentioned, other organizations like New Japan and others, Impact Wrestling has already international partners like the AAA and the Crash from Mexico and Pro Wrestling Noah in Japan. And you exchange many talents and benefit from these partnerships. Are there any plans to do live events in Mexico or Japan with the help of these partners?
Yeah, we would certainly love to get out there and do events with, in Mexico, in Japan. Certainly, I mean, there's such a great market out there in Europe as well. We'd like to get out there, and we made our first foray into India earlier this year. That's an amazingly large and growing market. That they've shown that there's a great fan base there for wrestling. So we'd like to, as time goes on, nothing's going to be overnight. It's going to be a slow and gradual build. But we would like to get out there truly worldwide.
I would just have one last question, especially concerning you. As beginning with 2018, you and Don Callis will join Impact Wrestling as Executive Vice Presidents, and you will have to Ed Norholm as the President of the company. You're responsible for the creative direction and managing of the company. What are your goals with Impact, and how, according to you, would the future of Impact Wrestling look like?
We're excited for this opportunity, and we think 2018 is going to be an interesting, fun, and challenging year. And we're excited about that challenge. As you've probably seen, we've changed, what we think, we've changed our position on international property, or IP as they call it, which we think is something revolutionary in wrestling, where we're allowing, the wrestlers, it's now an open relationship where if their name is created while they're with us, or their name, their any type of mannerisms, any type of creation, they get to continue to use that when they, move on from Impact Wrestling. And we think that it's going to create an environment where there's an open collaboration with the talent. Historically, wrestling promotions, wrestling companies want to own the talent, own the intellectual property, and be controlling with it. We want to be in a situation where we look at every talent that we have as a partner. They're helping us build our company and our brand with Impact Wrestling, and we're helping them build and develop their own sub-brand, which is their wrestling name or moniker, and everything that goes along with it. So we think that's a pretty revolutionary approach. The response has been amazing from talent, and we're excited about taking that forward. That's just step one in being an open company where we collaborate with our talent, where we're open to outside talent, and when we have a open and friendly environment with other promotions and companies out there in the industry.
All right, so that sounds really great, and I heard of these plans, and quite frankly, I'm excited to seeing what Impact will be next year and in the next episodes. So, Scott, thank you very much for this opportunity, having this interview with you, and I wish you all the best for the future, and I hope I'll make it one day to the tapings of Impact Wrestling, and maybe we'll see each other there. So thank you very much.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you also. All right. Bye.
Take care.